Welcome to the Money Watch Show. It is Tuesday, May 2nd. I'm your host, Jill Schlesinger. I'm joined by Mark Talercio, best executive producer in the world. Mark, have you been totally devouring the Pete Wells Top 100 restaurants in New York City?
Yeah, we were kind of studying that over the weekend. I was telling Amanda, it's like one of those, a good project in life would be to try and go to all 100 of those places.
I mean, yes and no. I find that the list is a little haphazard. I mean, as they often are. But anyway, if you're coming to New York and you're visiting, it's not a bad guide, right? It's not bad to say, you know, I'm going to be in Brooklyn. I want to do this. I love the fact that a lot of the restaurants that he happens to favor are in your neighborhood, Mark. I mean, that's kind of convenient.
Yeah, he has a thing for the Lower East Side. There are quite a few here in our neighborhood. We've attended. I think we've probably tried most of the ones that he mentions. Like I keep telling you about the place Ernesto's. He has that at number 42 on the whole entire list.
Above Resdora, which was shocking to me.
I mean, Ernesto's is good, but is it number 42 in the whole city? I don't think so.
I know, but it's all right, but it's fun. And he has like a nice distribution of not just super fancy. Although the addition of having Barney Greengrass on there is a head scratcher in general. That's just, for me, I'm just going to say, that's crazy, Pete. Come on. You didn't need to do I would happy if you said the 10 best bagels in New York or the 10 best places to get fish in New York. But to put that on the same list as Ernesto's or, you know, these other great restaurants, I don't know. It seems kind of nutty to me.
That's why, you take these lists with a grain of salt. It's very subjective.
I know. All right. Well, if you're coming to New York, Mark and I will give you some ideas. Okay. We each have our own favorites. All right. If you've got a financial question, Mark and I are willing to answer those questions and any touristy questions from those who are coming to visit. You should come to New York. Broadway's back. Restaurants are back. Mark says that all the restaurant scene is hustling and bustling, and we're going to give you our opinion. So if you're going to come visit, and then we'll give you some ideas, okay? Also, if you have a financial question, you can go to the website, JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button. Let us know what's on your mind. Don't forget to check the box that says you'd like to come on the program. While you're on the website, a couple of things to point out. Number one, we've got our next new webinar for Jill on Money Live. And it is very exciting to me because we have friend of the pod, Dave Stachowiak, the host and founder of Coaching for Leaders. This guy is a unbelievable management expert. He will basically be able to dismantle any question you have about managing a business, managing personnel, being happier in your own life. He is like the workplace god. I really think he's amazing. So I hope you join us. The next webinar is Wednesday, June 28th. If you'd like to do that, you subscribe to the service, Jill on Money Live. You have access to that upcoming webinar. You can get the Ed Slot webinar. Plus, there's special content up there. You know, let me give you a little taste of what some of that special content is. For example, we posted over the weekend a very exciting interview that I did with Gina Smilik, who is the Federal Reserve and economy reporter at the New York Times, only for people behind the paywall. $35. I would pay $35 just to hang out with Gina. Forget about the other webinars. So more great content is going behind the paywall. If you want to be part of it, go to JillOnMoney.com. Go to the little section that says Jill on Money Live, and you sign up. It's very easy. All right, let's get down to it. We have listener Maddie, who's on the line from Brooklyn. And Maddie, did you look at the top 100 restaurants?
I did. I haven't gotten through the every restaurant yet, but I did skim through it.
And did you have some Brooklyn favorites? Did you happen to check that out or not?
I didn't notice any Brooklyn favorites. Like we kind of did the thing where you look for the restaurants that you ate at. So.
And did you find any?
There were a few. There was the New Gage in Tollner, actually, which is in Brooklyn.
Oh, right.
Ernesto's.
You know what I liked? I like that Missy. She has that Italian restaurant in Brooklyn, which is so good. Lilia is the one I went to, and then Missy is her other restaurant. Excellent. Excellent. All right, Maddie, what brings you to us?
We have a lot. We're taking advantage of sort of all the different, sort of retirement investment buckets that are open and available to us, except for a health savings account. We have a family, we have kids, and that HR or the program servicers always recommend don't do the high deductible plan, but everything I read online says an HSA is one of the greatest things you can do. So am I getting too into the weeds, into the details about it? Is it something not worth worrying about, or is it something that we should look at?
Okay, Maddie, tell me about, give us some details. How old are you?
I'm 44.
And wife?
46.
Are you both in good health?
Yes.
Okay. Tell us about how much money you're earning.
I am earning $245 a year.
Okay.
And my wife earns $230, but she's actually the higher earner when all is said and done.
Why is that? She get a bonus?
She gets bonuses and executive level compensations.
So what do you think her total comp usually is that you would want to count on? Don't go the best year, but give me what you can kind of count on overall from her work.
If we're being conservative, I'd say, 270. Probably
Total.
That'll be pretty conservative.
Okay. And do you guys own a place in Brooklyn, or are you renting?
We own.
How much is it worth?
A little over $1 million.
Tell me about the mortgage. Is there one?
There is, yep.
How much is left?
$495.
$495. What's the interest rate?
3 3/8.
And it's a 30-year, right?
It's a 30-year. We're 6 years into it, so a lot of it's been just property values going up.
Okay, got it. So you're both maxing out retirement accounts, right?
Yes.
In addition to retirement investments, what else are you contributing to on this, $500,000 of income?
We have a retail brokerage.
How much are you putting into that?
We're putting in a little under $5,000 a month into that.
Okay. And you said, I saw in your email, 529 plans?
Yes. Those are at 55,000 right now. We were doing 5,000 a year. We did 6,000 last year.
Okay. How many kids do you have?
2.
How old are they?
8.
Oh, twins?
Yep, same age.
Oh, boy. Yeah. Yes, they happen to be twins. Identical or fraternal?
Fraternal.
Okay. At this point, you have 55 grand total in the 529s, or did you say each?
Each.
Okay. And in the brokerage account, how much money do you have in there?
150.
And what about the retirement accounts total between the two of you?
Total between the two of us, our 401ks total 1.7 million maybe.
Wow. Awesome. Holy moly.
I had the good wisdom to marry my partner, so it's mostly all her.
I love that you say that. It's so great. Okay. Thank you to my wife for your 401k. So 1.7 between the two of you. And then what about any Roths or rollovers somewhere else? Anything else going on in retirement assets?
Oh, sorry. I'm doing the math in my head. I did it wrong. I would say maybe 1.3. It's it would be 1.26 roughly.
Okay. 1.3.
Yeah, that's a big change.
That's not that big. Don't worry.
I've got about 400 and she has about 870.
Okay. And then what about the Roth situation? Got some?
I have 6. I did it for the first time last year. And my wife has 80.
80.
80.
And you're doing backdoor Roths right now?
We are. And we're also doing backdoor Roth 401ks through our employers.
Oh, right. Okay. The mega backdoor, as we call it.
Exactly. But that's in that 401k number I gave you.
Okay. That's fine. And anything else that you have, do you have a little slush fund, high yield savings, CDs, anything like that? Just an emergency reserve?
Yes. We have an emergency reserve in 6-month T-bills.
Good.
Right now. Mm-hmm. And that's $90,000. We have $70,000 in I-bonds. Then had the good wisdom to marry my wife. She has a lot of liquid cash that we're setting aside and we're figuring out what to do with. In a few weeks, we're going to put to work this year.
Okay.
But she has $206,000 in a high yield savings account. And
Great.
She also has about $120,000 in just regular checking.
I love it. Okay. Now, can I weigh in on what I think you might want to do with some of that moolah?
Sure.
Because did you have something else? Are you buying a summer home? Is there something else happening? Is there any other big ticket item
No.
No. Okay. First of all, to your original question, now that I've asked you all of my nosy questions, HSA I think is perfect for you guys. You're young, and I wouldn't even think of it so much as, I mean, you have the cash flow to pretty much float anything that's happening. You're basically saying, I have a way to save for the next 20 years for pretty much all of my retirement healthcare needs, the generalized ones. And you can do so in such an enormously tax efficient way. You're in a high tax state. So I think that the HSA is really, absolutely, you should definitely do it. No doubt. No doubt. Okay. And I do love the idea of this. I mean, an HSA, it's so funny. I looked into it for myself, and it was just sort of like, it's almost like you get to the conclusion where I was like, I'm a little too old. I wish I had had it in my 40s. It makes a lot more sense. The longer the time you have between sort of now and 65 or so, the better it works. And it is that triple tax incentive that it really works well. So I don't see why you wouldn't do it at all. Can we talk a little bit about the 529 and the kids? Is it your hope to be able to pay for private college for the kids or public? Where do you guys fall on that?
We want to be able to fully fund whatever they want to do without having to borrow. So if they want to go to an expensive private school, great. If they want to join the sanitation department, great. By
the way, the sanitation department is a very good pension.
I know. I'm 38. It would kick in. They go when they're 18.
I was talking to a guy recently who was like picking up garbage on my block. I'm like, hey, thanks for doing this. He's like, I'm moving towards my pension date. It's very funny.
Great department.
It really is. So I think some of the cash should go into the 529 plans. I do. Because I think in the same vein that HSAs are triple tax incented, I feel like 529s, it may not be triple, it's double, right? Because you're not going to, I mean, although in New York State, you do get that state income tax deduction. But I think that, you need more than 55 grand each. We've got 10 years to go. You could put a chunk of money in at this point. So I would probably do 34 this year, 34 next year. That kind of gets you pretty much closer. I'm just wondering if there's anything else. Do you need is there anything in the house? Do you need a car? Do you need anything else that I need to worry about? Do I have to pay for like bar mitzvah fund, anything like that?
No, there's nothing really else to worry about. And the 529s was actually one of the things we had thought about as maybe even super funding it. So yeah, because we only have 10 years left. So just to get ahead of it a bit, that's great to hear. The only other things really are house renovations, which come up often and are expensive. We live in a historic district. And when we got our place, it was we got a great deal and we put a lot into it. And it's great, but there's all these things that come up every now and then.
So for you guys, how much money do you think is important to keep in that sort of house fund?
Well, we have to identify the projects that we want to do, but I think we're thinking like about 200,000 at some point, maybe. Oh,
so of the 320. So we know that the emergency fund and the I bonds is really fine, right? So then the question is about the liquid cash and how much you're going to put in. And so I guess if you want to hedge your bets on the projects that you could do, then you'd put 34,000, 17 grand each into the 529s today. Then the beginning of next year, do another 17. And then you've got money. And I presume that money continues to build up, but then you're at least in the meantime figuring out what are the projects you really need to do. If you need to keep more money on hand, you can do so. And if you're like, well, no, we actually are fine. We can finance everything out of cash flow, or we're replenishing this money so quickly, you could always supercharge the accounts, the 529 accounts next year if you don't want to do it this year. And do you like your job? So like you the kind of people who are like, yeah, we're doing this till the bitter end, or are you more like, get me out as soon as possible?
We like our jobs, but they don't have a lot of security as you get older.
Oh, really? Let me ask you a funny question about that. When you talk about like, if you look in your industry, who are like the elder statesmen? How old are they in your business?
Oh, the people that everyone looks up to?
Yeah,
as the industry leaders?
Yeah, but or even in your own firm, like who's like someone who's a leader, and how old are they? I'm just wondering what's the real longevity? Like, is there anyone over 60 or not?
No, there's no one over 60.
Fascinating. And what about for your wife? Same?
Pretty much the same. Yep.
So we got to really do this in 15 years. We have 15
Right.
years to get you where you need to go. Okay, that's fair enough. I think you can do it. Do you know how much money you're actually spending on a monthly basis?
Not very much outside of the mortgage, probably about $6,000 a month.
Really? That's it? So $6,000 a month, and then the house probably is another, let's call it $5,000 a month, all in, just about stuff, whether it's the mortgage, the interest, the property taxes, everything together. You think it's probably $4,000 or $5,000?
It's everything all in is actually about 32 because it's all serviced by the bank. So the property taxes, the insurance, everything comes out
All
of
right.
that.
So if we looked at your spend at $10,000 a month, obviously, you're saving so much money. There's not a problem here. This is going to be fine. But I see the point about while you still have money, we want to make your house livable, but we also want to make sure we take care of this education fund so that you don't have to sweat that. Like if in 8 years you're not quite there, you don't want to be like, oh no, I lost my job at the wrong time or there's a downturn or whatever. So
Right, exactly.
I think you need to really take a look at the projects you want to do in the house and be mindful about that. Keep the money on hand to do it. But then, if you do have a huge year, let's just pretend when does your wife get bonuses and stuff like the goodies?
She gets that stuff at the end of the year. And I actually forgot to mention that she has some restricted stock units that haven't vested yet. But that's also going to be another big windfall.
Okay. Maybe if that vests, let's not count it towards retirement. But if that happened sooner rather than later in the next few years, that's a great way to just say like, oh, wow, we got this big chunk of money. Let's pop it all into the 529. But I think that's the only issue you have, which is the 529 seemed light. Everything else seems good. Do you guys have estate planning documents?
We will.
Man, come on.
We have an appointment in 2 weeks. One of the things we're going to talk about is the potential using some of that cash to establish a trust.
Why do you need a trust?
Well, we were thinking about setting some of that money aside for my wife only because she's brought it to the table before we hitched up, and that's sort of like a security thing. But we're also just curious if we wanted to set some money aside for the kids now rather than bequeath it to them later. Okay.
No, not now. You're too young, and they're too young anyway. What are you doing? Life changes. So no big irrevocable decisions today. You can have if you want a revocable trust, there's no problem with that, right? But you only have $150,000. I mean, you can't put you're not going to put the high yield savings probably into a trust, the checking, the T-bills are, individual, the I-bonds are individual. So we're really not talking about that much money. Everything else is going to pass by contract, your 401ks, your Roths, the brokerage account. You managing this yourself, the brokerage account?
Yes.
Where is it? At what firm?
It is, it's in an online firm right now, but I'm going to move it to Vanguard.
Okay.
And it's all in Vanguard at the moment.
Okay. Great. Okay. So I don't think you actually need a trust this second. You do need regular plain old documents, which is good to do. Do you guys have life insurance on yourselves?
We do through our employers.
How much?
I want to say off the top of my head, maybe 1.5 or 1 million for myself on my account. And then my wife has 250 with me, and then it's almost vice versa with her as well.
Okay. I think that's enough. I mean, obviously, the only risk you have is if you lose your job. I don't know if these insurance policies are portable. You're young, you're healthy. If you had to go, do something, you probably could. But kids are getting older and they're in school. Are they in private or public school right now?
Public school.
It's you, and you plan to keep them in public schools for the duration?
That's the plan. And we love our school.
Oh, thank God. And what about high school? Then you have to get into that whole thing. Oh, my God. The whole New York City school thing is so crazy.
Yeah, that's future Maddie problems.
All right. Good. We'll talk about that then. We'll see what we can do for you. I think that's it. Any other questions for us?
No, I have one quick HSA question. Is there a certain age at which it's not worth the health risks?
Your guys are going to be working. If you just do this right until you're 60, it's probably fine.
Okay, great.
Do you agree with that, Mark?
That's our plan. Yeah, Maddie, we're in a very similar boat as you guys. We use the HSA, and yeah, that's my plan. Kind of do it for the next 20 or so years, right up until we're about 60, and then we'll stop. But once you reach Medicare age, you can't use it anyway.
Yeah. So I think that's a good thing. I think you're in great shape. Good. Excellent, excellent, excellent. And also, I just want to say that you have not only married well, but you give her credit, which I love. I'm giving you credit for giving her credit. So well done, Maddie. Thank you so much for joining us. Wishing you the best of luck. Keep us posted on whatever new restaurants in Brooklyn are not on the Pete Wells list, okay?
Okay, I will.
All right. If you've got a question about an HSA, if you've got a question about a funding of your retirement account, your education account, your 529 account, anything like that, why don't you go to our website, jillonmoney.com. Click the Contact Us button, and you'll get a form. Complete the form. It's an email. If you want to come on the show live, check the box. Mark does everything else. While you're on the website, don't forget to buy my book, The Great Money Reset, because everybody's got a little bit of reset in them. I always think that some of you are shy about asking us about how to change the aspects of your lives, and we would love to hear from you. Those are the most fun questions that we field. So if something's coming up and be good or bad that is creating a change in you, check out the book, The Great Money Reset, and know that you can have some pretty big choices ahead of you. They don't have to be all one or the other. There are many things in between. So check out the book and you'll find that out. Also, you can subscribe to the Jill on Money live webinars. Quarterly access to those live webinars, special content that's going up more and more. Mark's doing a great job with that. So we thank you very much for listening. Mark Talercio is the co-host and executive producer. Karen Kranick is our web queen. We are distributed by Paramount Global. We drop our episodes every Tuesday and Thursday. Put your hands metaphorically on someone's back. Change your work, change your wealth, change your life. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you on Thursday.